everyone. Today we are going to discuss the PAVE paper for class 8 to 9 who are in class 8 and going to appear for the class 9. So we will solve each and every question one by one. So we will start with the question number first. So question number first is, which of the following metal will react vigorously with cold water? Now we have four options: copper, iron, gold, and sodium. Out of these four elements, sodium is the only element that we have which is highly reactive with water as well as air. We need to find which is vigorously, because gold cannot react directly with water. Same for copper and iron. They are low reactive metal. Not the reactivity is not equal to the sodium, and sodium is the only metal here which is the most reactive among all of them. Sodium will react vigorously with water. Either it is cold water, either it is hot water, it will be the answer. So for question number first, B, sodium is the correct answer. Now moving to the question number second, in an experiment, blue litmus paper turn red on adding vapors of a burning substance. The substance is likely to be. We need to find what is that substance actually is. So here we can see that we got copper, magnesium, iron, and sulfur. So copper is a metal, magnesium, iron, they all are metal except sulfur. So when we are heating a metal, generally they form metal oxide, and usually metal oxides are basic in nature. But when it's come for non-metal, for example sulfur, so let's suppose you have a sulfur and you're trying to heat this sulfur. So what will happen as you're heating the sulfur? This sulfur is going to react with oxygen and it will form SO2 gas, sulfur dioxide. This SO2 gas is acidic in nature, and all the acid have a property to convert blue litmus paper into red, because they are saying converting blue into red. So that is done by only by a acidic nature substance or a acid. So correct option is sulfur, because sulfur is non-metal and majority of metals are, or metal oxides are, basic in nature. Not everyone, but majority. And similarly, majority of non-metal oxides are acidic in nature. That's why sulfur dioxide, SO2, is also acidic. So that's why correct option is B. Now similarly for question number 3, which statement correctly describe why sodium and potassium are stored in kerosene oil? So sodium and potassium, they both are high reactive in water as well as air. So we need to store them in kerosene oil because they cannot react with oil. But sodium and potassium can react vigorously with water as well as air. So we cannot store in open container, and we cannot store them in water definitely. The only way to store them is in kerosene oil. So first option is they evaporate quickly. No, they are heavy metal. Also not a correct option. They are used as fuel. This is not. The only option is they react with air and water. That's why we store them in kerosene oil. Question number 4. The structure of synthetic fiber most resemble. The synthetic fiber, actually it is a linear chain of atom. Let's suppose you have an atom, then another atom, then another. So they are formed, so they are linked together, different atoms are linked together and they will form a long chain structure, a linear chain structure. So they are asking structure of synthetic fiber most resemble. So synthetic fiber are made up of monomer. These are called monomer, which join together and they form a polymer by a linear form. So they are not cross loop, circular loop, not layered silk, not branch. The only correct option is linear chain of atom is going to resemble most with the synthetic fiber. So option A is correct. Now question number 5. The main component in coal formed from plant material through a long process is. It is definitely because all the organic substance is made up of majorly of carbon. Carbon is the main component of organic substance, and coal is formed by a very long geological process in which all the organic material is buried inside the soil for a very long time due to high pressure and temperature. All this organic substance, so we have some organic substance. This organic substance will convert into coal through a very long process, and the main component of organic substance is coal. Means similarly, the is carbon. Similarly, main component of carbon is also going to be coal for carbon. So either it is organic substance converting into coal, carbon will remain as the main component in this process, and they're asking main component in coal. So that is definitely carbon, not sulfur, not oxygen, not nitrogen. Carbon is the correct option. Now, question number 6, which can absorb over 90% of its own mass of water and does not stick to wounds. So the correct option here is rayon. Rayon is a synthetic fiber which has capability to absorb very large amount of water, and another property that it is not going to stick to the wound. So whenever we have to do the dressing, let's suppose a person got a wound and we need to do the dressing of that wound. So rayon is the best material because it is not going to stick with the wound and it is able to absorb very large amount of water. That's why the perfect material will be rayon. A is the correct option. Now moving to the question number 7, which non-metal is essential for photochemical reaction in plant? So which non-metal? Again, whenever we have a photochemical, so photochemical means they are talking about reaction that is called photosynthesis. So photosynthesis, we have CO2 plus H2O, and they are converting into glucose C6H12O6 plus H2O. So this is a chemical equation for photosynthesis. That's why this is the photochemical reaction. So they are saying which is the main component. So here we can see that CO2 and H2O are the main component. And here they have given option in the form of elements. So nitrogen is not oxygen. Oxygen is a byproduct. So it is instead of H2O, here we can write water. Actually, water, when we balance this equation, so water will be both the sides. But generally, it produces O2. So O2 is not a essential non-metal for photochemical reaction to start. It is a byproduct. It is going to form oxygen, but they actually need CO2 and water. And in CO2, we know the component is carbon. So carbon is the only option which is very essential non-metal for the photochemical reaction. So correct option is D. Question number 8. Coal has variety differing in carbon content, which has the highest carbon content. So in the coal, which is called anthracite, this lignite and bituminous has low amount of carbon content. The maximum carbon content we can see in anthracite. So correct option is option B. Now, question number 9, when a metal react with oxygen, the product is usually, so generally when metal react with oxygen, the product usually is basic in nature. Majority of chances are metal form basic oxide and non-metal form acidic oxide. So we got two kind of substance, metal oxide and non-metal oxide. So these metal oxides are basic in nature. These are basic, and these non-metal oxides are acidic in nature. So they are asking for metal reacting with oxygen. So not all the metals oxide, but majority of metal oxides are basic in nature. So option C is correct. Question number 10, name a process to separate solid impurity from petroleum. So they are asking about solid impurities. First of all, we can see option number A, distillation. Distillation is used for those substances where we have a difference in boiling point. And chromatography is based on the absorption capacity. Again, the only correct option is filtration. Filtration means we can remove impurities, solid impurities physically. So correct option for this separation of solid impurities from petroleum is filtration. Now moving to the question number 11, which of the following gases is responsible for the Taj Mahal yellowing? So organic carbon, brown carbon, black carbon, or all the mentioned. Actually, we have mix of particulate matter. That particulate matter contain organic carbon, brown carbon, black carbon, all of them, and they all are responsible for the yellowing of Taj Mahal. So correct option will be D. Now question number 12. Metals generally displace other metals from their salt solution if they are. Metal generally displace. So yes, let's suppose you have two metal, one is high reactive, one is low reactive. For example, let's suppose we have copper sulfate, CaSO4 reacting with high reactive metal. We can take zinc. So this zinc will react with copper sulfate and it will form ZnSO4 and copper will get separated because Zinc is much more reactive than copper. So they are saying metal generally displace other metals. So zinc is displacing copper from its sulfate and forming its own sulfate, zinc sulfate. So the metal generally displace other metal from their salt if they are more reactive. So if the displacing metal, this is the metal which are going to displace copper, it should be more reactive. Otherwise, it is not able to. So the correct option is B. It should be more reactive. Question number 13. Which fiber absorb water best? So if I'm comparing all of them, nylon, polyester, these are synthetic fiber, and cotton is a natural fiber which can absorb water the best. The maximum absorption capacity from all of them is for cotton. So correct option is B. Question number 14. Which property allow metals to be made into foils? So again, here we are converting metal into thin sheets. The conversion of metal into thin sheets is called, this property is known as malleability. For example, aluminum is very highly malleable. Gold, we have aluminum represented by Al, gold represented by Au. These are highly malleable substance. That's why we have seen these kind of metal sheets. So conversion of metal into foils or sheets is by a property that is called malleability. So B is the correct option. Question number 15. That is not an important refining process for upgrading the quality of lubricating oil. So now, uh, during the refinery process, almost all of them are required solvent refining, hydro treatment, clay treatment, this de-oiling. So these four are not the correct option. This de-oiling, as the name suggests itself, de-oiling means removal of oil. This is called removal of oil from waste. Removal of oil from waste is called de-oiling process. So this is not an important process, but rest of are much more important, very important for upgrading the quality of lubricating oil. Clay treatment, solvent refining, hydro treatment, they all are. Which of the following is not biodegradable? So again, cotton is biodegradable, wood is biodegradable, paper, but this plastic is synthetic substance and it is non-biodegradable. So D is the correct option. Which is are true for elastomers. These are synthetic polymers processing elasticity. These poses very weak intermolecular forces of attraction between polymers chains, and vulcanization rubber is an example of elastomer. So yes, first of all, elastomers are which you can stretch to a very great extent. So these are synthetic polymer. Definitely, these are synthetic polymer possessing elasticity. Yes, they are highly elastic. First option is correct. These poses very weak intermolecular forces. So because of weak intermolecular forces, we are able to stretch them. The third is vulcanized rubber is an example of elastomer. So definitely elastomer with cross-linked chain are formed by vulcanized rubber. Or vulcanized rubber is an example of cross-linked elastomer. So all the options are correct. So we can say among all of them, B will be the correct option. Give one industrial application for chlorine. So chlorine is actually used for water purification. Lithium is actually used for making batteries. Metal extraction use different process but not chlorine. Rocket fuel uses hydrogen and oxygen mixture. The only correct option is water purification. In water purification, we use chlorine to oxidize all the substance. So correct option is A. The conversion of wood into coal is, the conversion of wood into coal is a process. So there are four processes that we have: calcination, then another is distillation, carbonization, and inclination. So now carbonization is the process, actually this is the main process of converting organic material into carbon, like charcoal or coal, by heating in absence of air. That is also called pyrolysis. So calcination is decomposition by heating. And again, distillation is again a different thing by which we are separating two mixture by boiling or heating. So the correct option from all of them is carbonization, conversion of wood into coal in the absence of air. That is called carbonization. Air should not be present. If air will be present there or O2 will be present, this coal will get converted, this wood will converted into CO2. It will produce carbon dioxide, not coal. So correct option is B, carbonization. Question number 20. Among metal, which is the least efficient conductor? So least efficient conductor again. Sodium cannot be least efficient. Calcium is again a good conductor. Mercury and lead, they both are poor conductor. But if we are comparing both of them, lead is the poorest conductor of from all the metals. So A is the correct option. So these are the all the possible questions from PAVE 2025 from class 8 and you are going to class 9.